The biggest thing I think that, and probably the one point of our STAR that people really struggle with, is effective interviewing. It scares people. And that's probably normal. When you go into school and the teacher says, okay, put everything under your desk. We're having a pop quiz today. You're not feeling you get in your stomach? Probably because you haven't studied enough. If you've done your work in an interview preparation, you should never have that feeling. When you're sitting, whether it's one-on-one or in a panel, or you're going through a series of 6 or 7 people that you have to interview, because as you move up in organization, you'll interview more and more with different people. They want to make sure your background fits. You should never feel like it's a pop quiz and I have no idea because I didn't study enough. Any question they want to hit you with, if you've got the background and you've done the work, you're prepared to answer that question. So we're going to get into, in the interview questions, some interview basics. How do you phone interview versus an in-person interview? Because it's a little bit different. How do you answer behavioral questions? Because when they're asking questions in an interview, all they can judge your future performance on is your past performance. How well did you do your job before? Because I can't see you operate, I can't see you work. I kind of have to take your word on what you're going to tell me. So we're going to go through that. You're going to learn how to answer those behavioral questions, which is in the 5 parts of a standard typical interview. That's the biggest part. And then we're going to get into a little bit about what happens at the end of that interview when the interviewer says, do you have any questions for me? You know what, a lot of times people just look and say, yeah, you know, no, I think I'm good. You better have questions, and you have better thought them out, and you better tie in to some research you have done, or tie back to some of the questions that the interview has asked, but they should be well thought out in advance. So that's the interview when you get to the end and you have the chance to ask the questions. And we'll get into some of the other, how to dress, what you should be thinking about as you go in. It's all part of the interview process from beginning to end. You'll control the whole thing. And that seems funny to say you'll control the interview. Yeah, but I'm not interviewing. I'm not the interviewer asking the questions. That's true. But you can still control the interview. You can get the information you want to get out. I can't tell you how many times people have left an interview and I say, well, how did things go? And they'll say, you know what? I wanted to talk about this, but they never asked me that. No, it's your job. Because believe it or not, you can take charge of an interview, even though you're the one being interviewed. My advice would be, 1, practice. You can look at a mirror to see how you look, answering questions. But I've talked to people and they've actually come in, and if you're local, I do offer that service where we'll come in and we'll sit face to face. We'll go through what you should be doing when you first greet a receptionist or your interviewer. But there are a couple of things to think of. Good eye contact. I had a young man come in to see me, and I finally, about 15 minutes into our dialogue back and forth, had to turn around and look behind me because he stared at the wall. I had to see what was on the wall that was so interesting he was looking at. People want to be made to feel important, so you look them in the eye, you give them that firm handshake. Your body language says a lot. And there are some ways that you can take that to an interview and know that I'm going to do these things. What is appropriate? What is not appropriate? What should I wear? I have not interviewed. There is a decorum, a professional attire that you'll want to wear. So we'll talk about some of those things and then what to bring. Can I take notes? Is it okay to jot some things down? You don't want to write answers on your hand, but it's okay to have some ideas, some things that, and if you have rehearsed what I call STAR stories, they'll be there and you'll be ready to retrieve that when you sit down in an interview. So if you wanted to come in, well, I can certainly offer that service. If you're here locally, we'll get you on the schedule, we'll book that time, and we'll do one-on-one. We'll do some mock interviews, and so you feel comfortable. So I'll hit you with some hard questions, and you'll know how to answer them.